Hey everybody, MichaelBtheGameGenie here, and on today's video we're going to ask the question, will Arcade1Up ever make a Neo Geo cabinet? So guys, that's right, today's video is all about Arcade1Up and the possibility of them making a Neo Geo cabinet in the near future. Now you guys are probably saying, we've been here before, and sure, we'll go over the history, but there has been some conversation, scuttlebutt in the community that Arcade1Up are making moves that make it seem like possibly they have intentions to release a Neo Geo or SNK themed cabinet in the very near future. First off, let's take a look at the history, because this isn't the first time we've had a rumored SNK or Neo Geo cabinet coming out from Arcade1Up. You guys may remember about 2 years ago now, there were some leaked images that were pasted online, really only one leaked image, it went everywhere, of a King of Fighters branded cabinet coming out from Arcade1Up. Now it was distinguishable by the black marquee, and the rest of the artwork looked very similar to what a big red cabinet would look like, with some Neo Geo King of Fighters artwork branded along with it, some characters from the game, and then you can see the old kick plate here. So this came out, created a lot of buzz. Arcade1Up took it down, said it was a mistake just for marketing purposes. They reached out to the company, and that was that. But the community kept going with it. We fully expected that there was a relationship with SNK, and this cabinet was going to be coming out at some point. Lo and behold, a little less than a year later, we heard of a company called Unico that, out of nowhere, were going to be releasing their own first home arcade 3/4-ish scale product, and it was going to be called the MVSX. So this was a product in the vein of an Arcade1Up cabinet, but yet very different. What separated this cabinet away from Arcade1Up is it had more of the iArcade model, where you could buy the bar top and then a base to go with it. So here you can see the bar top, and there's the complete unit with base that looks very, very similar to what the original Big Red looked like. And then you go down there and it came with 50 games, and this is one of the things that stuck out to a lot of people. They all said Arcade1Up are coming out with 3 and 4 games, yet Unico's bringing the smoke and coming out with a full 50. Now, if you take a closer look at the game lineup, it is heavily fighter-based, with almost 80% being fighters and some other stuff, Metal Slug mostly being thrown in, with some gems in there too, like Shock Troopers is around here somewhere. Then you got some sports games like Super Sidekicks, Top Players Golf, 3-Count Bout. Magician Lord's another really good one, Football Frenzy, but the majority of which were the King of Fighters, like pretty much the entire series. They've got all the Fatal Fury games there that came out on the Big Red, Last Battle, World Heroes, so it was a real fighters cabinet, and that was the concept behind it, the Neo Geo MVSX. Now, me personally, I might be in the minority here, but I'm kind of glad it went this way. When I saw the initial Arcade1Up design for the King of Fighters cabinet, sure, I was excited for people who might be excited, but realistically, when I think of Arcade1Up, and what excites me the most is when they recreate the original arcade. They try to blur that line of the toy product they are by making it look so much like the original arcade and function so much like the original arcade. And the thing about the SNK Neo Geo arcade games is they were never had dedicated cabinets. They all came on different variations of the Big Red. You either had a 1-slot, I think 2-slot and a 4-slot, something like that. I'm not an arcade expert, but you know, it was either in one of those cabinets. And as you can see from the King of Fighters cabinet, that's not the direction Arcade1Up was looking to go in. They were going to piecemeal the games out one by one, whereas Unico did it a little bit closer to what I think the original intended aspect should be. In my opinion, Unico did what they should have done. I don't think this is a knock on Arcade1Up. I think Arcade1Up would have done a fantastic job, but it just doesn't fit their business model to offer this cabinet in a multicade. Adding the 50 games was smart. It would have also been a killer idea to also make it upgradable, not through a high-low hack or illicit means, but to make it upgradable where you could buy future game packs and add even more games to the system, or even swap out the game packs. Now, personally, I think Unico did a great job here. I never got the cabinet when it was originally launched. I only received it recently, but I have to say I'm a big fan of the emulation. The controls aren't necessarily the best, but they work for what they are. The cabinet is beautiful, and I love the fact that they're trying so hard to recreate the look of the original Big Red, and it plays well, it sounds well, the 50 games, the expandable storage through illicit means, wish it would have been real means. I mean, the Unico Big Red packs so much punch into it. I'm a big fan. But I understand where Arcade1Up's coming from here, because with this Big Red product that Unico have released, they've released the MVSX. Where do they go from here with it? Like, honestly, they're not going to release a second Big Red with different games, are they? People expected them to come back and release like a Capcom one, release other things, and it kind of died. It was a one-and-done product, whereas Arcade1Up, with their piecemeal idea, probably could have put a bunch of these out. Now, to be honest, I don't understand why Arcade1Up were so interested in SNK in the first place. As we've seen, they've had problems getting like what should be surefire arcade games out to retailers. Like, they say that there's no way they can do a Qbert, but yet they were going to do a niche and obscure SNK game release like King of Fighters. Like, who the hell knows King of Fighters? Who the hell knows Fatal Fury? Obviously, you're going to know Qbert more than that and Final Fight more than that, but, apparently they were interested. So, anyways, getting back to the history of things. So, guys, if you're following some of the scuttlebutt online right now, the rumor is out there that Unico have, in fact, lost the SNK license. Now, I'm not 100% sure where this is coming from. It's on Reddit that people are putting out there. Various YouTube channels are reporting it. What we do know is that the company that owns Neo Geo or owns SNK has been sold, and there's some conversation that Unico may no longer have the product. And this is where this gets really strange, because not only have Unico no longer have the brand, but there's rumors that, in fact, Arcade1Up may be on the verge or have, in fact, secured the licenses. And where this is coming from is an even stranger one, because if you guys have been watching some of these conspiracy theory videos out there about the Arcade1Up Illuminati and all this other just craziness that people are putting out in the community, some of this might be grounded in some reality. I mean, there's always a pinch of truth in every pile of lies, right? So one of the rumors that is out there right now is that apparently Arcade1Up have somehow blocked the iArcade from being able to release Metal Slug on the iArcade. Now, the question is, why in God's name would Arcade1Up interfere in that capacity to stop iArcade from releasing Metal Slug, which is an awesome game, but relatively low in the terms of arcade history and value when it comes to Arcade1Up products, unless they were planning to do something with Neo Geo in the near future? Now, could be total bullshit. More than likely is total bullshit, but again, there's always a grain of truth in there. So maybe they've gone out there and secured some kind of exclusive negotiating rights now for SNK Neo Geo titles on home arcade products, and that's why we haven't seen the release of Metal Slug on the iArcade, which has been rumored for a while now, and there had been some rumors that Bash Gaming were working on it. Maybe Bill or some people from Bash can further provide some information on that if they feel comfortable doing so, but that's the rumor right now. So it leads to the fact that Arcade1Up seem to be gearing up to do Neo Geo again. Now, if they do, I have some absolute big concerns, of course, because like I stated earlier, I love what Unico did with the cabinet. I don't think that was Arcade1Up's original intention. Arcade1Up, you saw the design, they were just going to swan neck it in the original shape, throw a couple games on there, King of Fighter games, and call it a day, maybe make a separate Metal Slug cabinet. That's not true to form of what the Neo Geo is. So if Arcade1Up does in fact have the Neo Geo, and seeing their more recent home arcade deliveries, I think maybe what we might get might be more so a big red cabinet that would be like a Neo Geo Legacy cabinet, and maybe it could have 12 to more games on the cabinet. You're never going to get 50, but I would like for Arcade1Up to take some lesson from what Unico did with the Neo Geo. Do it right. Sure, you can make it, you can monetize it where you're going to do it multiple times, but just be careful because you can't do it with dedicated artwork. There's a comment out there that some people have said about Arcade1Up that they think that their internal designs, and if they make new products, that would look better than the original arcades. And that's nuts. You guys are selling nostalgia, so obviously you want to sell versions of what originally came out. Don't try to do something new. That would be crazy. Maybe some people want that, and you can ask your community and you can ask your marketplace, but I'm telling you, that's the wrong direction. So take some of the cues from what Unico did, except apply your Arcade1Up brilliance to it. You know, make the cabinet a little bit taller. That's definitely one of the downsides. Buttons are on par with the original Arcade1Up version 1 buttons, so maybe try to do better buttons. I know I'm yelling in the clouds here, but I have faith you can do this good. Just don't try to make it something it's not. If you're going to release a Neo Geo product, release a Big Red. Don't release a Metal Slug theme cabinet. Don't release a King of Fighters theme cabinet. That's all I'll say on that. So anyways, guys, I'm going to ask you guys now, what do you think of this? Do you think it's a possibility that Arcade1Up are gearing up to make a SNK themed, Neo Geo themed cabinet? And if so, do you guys want to see it more along the lines of what Unico did, maybe just a little bit better and a little bit more polished? Or do you think that their original concept of doing all these dedicated Metal Slug cabs and dedicated King of Fighter cabs is the right direction? Anyways, let me know in the comments, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time.